We're going to look at the equity market from a very long-term perspective. Instead of days or weeks or months, we're going to look at it measured in decades, or really more than a century in some cases, because this is about getting the long view, the big picture, about the relative value of equities compared to other metrics. And so we're going to look at a few raw charts, index charts, and we're going to look at them normalized through the lens of other metrics, and you'll see the value of that in a moment. This is the plain old simple spider graph going all the way back to its inception. And you can see here some very broad movements in the market. You can see here this long, steady bull market of the 1990s. You can see the internet bubble, the bear market following it. You can see the financial / housing bubble right here, followed by the so-called Great Financial Crisis. And I say so-called because, as you can see in the big picture, it was pretty modest dip. And then you have the everything bubble, which has been going on since March 9, 2009, and has persisted to this day. And we're at the lifetime highs of it now. And there's the channel encompassing that everything bubble all the way up to the tippity top here where we're currently at. But let's look at some other angles here. This goes back even farther. This is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the Dow 30. This goes all the way back to the 1900s early, so early that it's 1900 January. Frankly, the only reason the data doesn't go back any farther than that is that literally the computer isn't able to show dates earlier than 1900 based on this programming language. But for our purposes, it's sufficient. But here we also have a channel going all the way back to the Roaring 20s. And this channel has been in place for all those many decades. And here we are so high that it's not only at the top of the channel, it's even exceeded that channel to some degree. So these are just normal, simple metrics. These are not divided by anything or normalized by anything. These are just straight up major equity indexes. So one last one, because it's very poignant these days, is the semiconductor index. Now it's younger than the others because semiconductors have not been around as long as the year 1900. But you can see here, and this is a arithmetic scale. This is a logarithmic scale, excuse me, not an arithmetic scale. And you can see even based on that basis, it is exceptionally high. If we did watch this on a raw linear scale, it looks crazy. But this is the straight up logarithmic scale, and you can see that it has burst even beyond this very sharply ascending channel. So those are just the straight up long-term indexes, but let's look through some different lenses here. In particular, let's look at the Dow composite divided by silver. And what this does is it measures, instead of dollar bills, it measures it in terms of silver's value. And that's more valuable because things like silver and gold tend to be more representative of true value than fiat currency. And so in this case, you can see that there was a major, very clean top here, preceding a long bear market that followed after the year 2006, 2007, and that went on for many, many years. Since then, measured in silver, we have done exactly the same thing. The pattern looks almost exactly the same. And we've fallen hard away from that, mainly because silver became so expensive. And we've recovered to some degree. And it seems to me that if history's any guide, we're going to recover more and then fall away even harder. Now, the recovering more could be more expensive stocks or less expensive silver or some combination thereof. But long term, it seems that it has a lot farther to go. Here's another way to look at things. This is the Dow 30 divided by silver. Not surprising, it looks rather similar. I'm showing this one because it goes back a full decade more. So you can get a bit bigger, let's edit that out. So you can get a bit of a better picture in terms of the long-term movement of this, particularly this steady ascent during the true bull market of the 80s and the 90s. And so once again, we've got a top, a drop, and a push higher into another identical top, which is actually even lower than the other. It seems hard to believe, but it's true that measured in these terms, stocks were actually less expensive than they were during the mid 2000s bubble. Now, let's look at some economic data, and we're going to use that as a basis for normalizing the equity indexes. This is the industrial production measure produced by the Federal Reserve, basically how much stuff is created in the United States over the course of time. And as you can see, it used to be growing tremendously, but for some decades now, it's really flattened out as the United States has sort of stagnated as a manufacturing power. But this is the raw figures for that production. Of course, it's not normalized for inflation or anything like that. But what we've done here is we've taken the S&P 500 index and divided it by that figure. And another way to think of this is, what is the value of stocks relative to all the stuff being created by the US? And as you can plainly see, it has never been more expensive. Now, let's move on to some other items here. This one's a bit better, I think, because the trouble with the industrial production is that it doesn't really take into account the inflation that's taking place, which is massive. And it also brings into the fray the fact that the United States has really stalled as an industrial power for some decades now. This is a little bit more appropriate divisor for our purposes, which is the money supply. This is M2, as you can see, which has grown quite steadily for decades. But what we're going to do here is we're going to take the S&P 500 and divide it by that figure instead. And this shows in a way constant money terms, because it's divided by how much money is out there, what the value of stocks is relative to the M2. And there are three peaks here. This peak was back at the end of the 90s, early aughts, and this was the internet bubble. And we fell hard, and then we went into the housing bubble. Now, the thing that should jump out here at you is that the peak of the housing bubble was way lower than what we had seen back in 2000. Stocks were more valuable in 2000 than they were in, say, 2007. But the big crash came, and it's very dramatic. And then since then, we've had the everything bubble. And the biggest takeaway from this whole video is what we're at right now. Because we are priced higher now in this steady term that is normalized by M2 than we were even at the highest levels of the year 2000. This is the most expensive stock market ever on many different metrics, but in this case shown by way of the M2. And so based on that, we'll just close with this one, which drives the point home even more. This is the NASDAQ composite divided by M2, same metric. And not surprisingly, we had our peak here, the internet bubble, very, very high. The financial / housing bubble way down here. And then the everything bubble like so. And once again, although we did hit and match that year 2000 level back here and began to fall, it got a new lease on life in recent months and went blasting higher, thanks largely to AI and semiconductors. And now we're at the highest level ever and have even exceeded this exceptionally sharp trend line. So there you have it, plain as day. More than 100 years of data, using economic metrics to normalize it, and stocks are exceptionally expensive, plain as day.